welcome. In this video, we're going to be walking through the process of importing your account list into Manage 360 using our account import utility. Now, before I go into the details, we're going to talk about what we're going to need to do that. So this is done via spreadsheet, a CSV file in Manage 360. Now, as a note as well, we also have more detailed instructions and document on our knowledge base to go along with this video if you want to go through specifically the details of the columns on the spreadsheet itself. This is also an alternative to if you don't have our QuickBooks connector or you don't use QuickBooks, instead of using that to import your accounts from QuickBooks, this is another way if you have them in a spreadsheet, could be via QuickBooks or some other file, you can set them up in this particular format and then you can import them directly into Manage yourself. Now, this is done. Before we get into the actual process itself, we're going to review the spreadsheet itself. So it's kind of what's on the spreadsheet, what information we're looking for, what files do you need, what information in the columns that you want, what are required. Again, it's really quite straightforward. And like I said, there is a manual to help with that process. So the first thing is you can do this. You can start this process from either of two locations in Manage. One, from the accounts list page itself, and secondly, from the settings area. Now, on either spot, in order to be able to do this, the user that you are using in Manage 360 needs to be an owner, administrator, or a settings administrator. One of those three functionalities will allow you to do it, one of those three roles. So without that, again, if you just have your standard access, don't have one of those three roles, you will not have access to do this component. Now, the starting is there, but also the other information that is on those screens that is where the sample file can be downloaded. Now I'll show you both spots, and again, either way, you end up doing the exact same process. So first, I will go to the settings. So again, I'm in our Manage. I click on my name, go into settings if I have access to this. And on the account, it's because it's in the account settings, and right there, import accounts. So I can go into here. If I click on this, this brings us to our account import utility. I can start the process from here as well. Again, before we click the import button, there's a little brief set of instructions here. And like I said, there's also instructions on the knowledge base, which we'll provide a link for that as well. And then in here, you can download the sample file. So the thing with the sample file is that it has all the columns that are required that we need. Some of them can be blank. That's not a problem. You don't want to change the order of the columns. You just want to put your information into this fields here. Now, like I said, there's another way to get to this page. In this case, we went through settings. If you happen to be on the contacts on the accounts area in here, you can also access it by clicking on the import accounts button from here. And again, like I said, only if you have owner, administrator, or settings administrator will you be able to access these buttons and get to this page. Now, so from here, how does the import process start? Now, again, the actual import will use this CSV file that you have, but to get the sample file, the easiest thing to do is to come to here, click on this download button, and then again, in your browser, it'll download the file there as well. There's a couple example rows. You can get rid of them, put your own information in there as well. I already have one open just to show you kind of what it looks like on there as well. So this is what, again, the sample file looks like. You would fill it in, like I said, to get all the information that you need on here. So what I wanted to go over now are things like on this thing, what are the required, like what fields you cannot leave blank. Some of them you can exit. Some of them will be blank, and they will pull in defaults from the settings. Some of them are blank and they'll end up blank on your account, and you can change that at a later time as well on there. But as far as the required fields that you need, and again, let's go over them now quickly. There's the account name, so you need to have an account name. Like that is absolutely a requirement there. That's the name of the account and Manage. You can do it last name comma first name. You can do first name space last name. You can do the company name on there as well. But that column is required. If as a note, if this column, if you put an account name in here that you happen to have already in Manage, that's going to give you a warning message saying you can't do that because you can't have duplicate names. But otherwise, you'll see that in the error messages as well. There's a primary contact name, primary contact first and last name. Those are not required. But as far as the required fields go, there's the account name is required. The state, province is required here. Whether you do the two-letter short form or put it out as well, that's accessible there as well. That's required. The account type is also required. And again, the account type is relatively straightforward. There's two options: residential for RC for commercial. That is required. The sales tax column also required on here as well. Again, the simplest thing, if you're not, like, there's an EXMT code that is already in manage exempt code. You can use that, or you can create your taxes in manage in the settings area and then use the code right in here as well. Again, all of this stuff can also be changed afterwards, but if you're building the spreadsheet now, you can set it up. The other requirement is the salesperson column. So who is the salesperson going to be in manage? Now, again, this is again what it's going to look for. Is this person an employee salesperson in manage? If it is, then that's fine. If not, then it's going to give you a warning on there as well for that. So those again, like I said, there's not a ton of like absolutely required fields. Those are the ones: account name, state, province, account type, sales tax, salesperson. Now, if any of these are missing, so say if I forgot to put one of these in, when I do the import, we will do an error check in that process and give you, and I'll show you that in a little bit as we go through that process as well. The other fields, again, they can be left blank and some of them will go in blank, but a few of the other fields that will actually pre-fill based on what's in manage are things like, for example, the region. So what region is this account in? Now, if we have a region on the spreadsheet, it'll add that into manage, and it'll also make it so that it'll put that into the settings so I can use it going forward. If the region is blank, then we will use the default region from Manage 360, and you can go into the settings for that as well to find that information there on there. So you can see that information there. Now, the other one is payment terms like net 30, net 15, due on receipt. You can also see that one as well on there. And again, if it's blank, it'll default to what is set up as the default in the settings area. And lastly, it's lead source. So how did this customer hear about us? Again, if it's blank, that's fine. It'll use the default in the settings. But if there's information here, it'll use that, whatever it is, and then add it as an option into Manage 360 as well for that. Again, just to say it again, if you want, again, a much more detailed breakdown, or again, like column by column, we do have the document that'll go through all of that as well on there. Now, so I've just got this file. Like I said, it's fairly straightforward. I'll just save this file here on there. So I've made a couple small errors on here. I think there's only one, just so I can show you what that looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and going back to my manage site. Again, it was, as long as you know where it is when you saved it. If you saved it on your desktop, on your OneDrive, Dropbox, that's fine. Doesn't matter where it's saved as long as you can find it again. So I'll go into my manage site. I'll just jump out of here. Go back. So I'll go on. I'm in the contacts and accounts. Just get back to that page. Click on import accounts. So here I want to now click the import button. So the import button itself, now that I've got my sample file set up, or sorry, my new file set up, the import button will go through the process. It'll do two steps. Number one, it'll allow me to browse, find the file, and then secondly, it'll parse the file and check for any errors. If there are no errors, it'll go ahead and do it. If there are, it will list the errors here on this screen for us to review and address. We need to correct the errors before we can get the import on there. Now, like I said, I'll click the import button. The first thing is find the file. Where is your file? It's on my desktop. There, it's right there, the import sample file US. Okay, great. Open the file, and it just processes it right away. So you can see right here. So again, if there are errors, if they're not errors, it will go ahead and import them on there as well for that. Now, these are the errors that are in the system here, and it tells you line by line, account name, salesperson was not found. Okay, so that salesperson that is in the site there is not on there. So the person that's entered on the spreadsheet is not there. This one here, salesperson's required. So that means that field is blank. So it doesn't show you that one as well. So now the other option you have here, so you want to go into your spreadsheet and you want to correct those errors on there. Now, let me just show you another option here. Like I said, and again, so if you have your spreadsheet open and you have a small set of errors, no problem. You can open up your spreadsheet and go through it. If you have, again, if there's several errors or you want to be able to take the errors and save them and correct them later, you can click on the download this error list and it'll create a text file with all the errors, same information there that you can go ahead and correct those later as well on there. So I'm just going to go ahead and correct a couple of those errors, and then we'll go ahead and then import that into manage. Okay, now, sorry, we're back here. Just wanted to take a quick look at the file. So again, to correct my errors, I'm just going to show you like what I did here on the file. I'm just going to open the file back up. On the file, like I said, I just went into the salesperson column that was causing a problem. Just make sure they all have salespeople. They're all in there, and they all are salespeople that again that do exist to manage. I'll resave the file, resave it. It's in the same location. Jump back to manage on here as well. Now again, I can leave this error. I don't have to clear the errors manually in here. I can re-import the same list, and again, it'll reparse it and tell me if there's any new errors or additional errors or the same errors if I don't correct them. So I'll click on the import button again here. Click on the import button. Now again, I think I've corrected all the errors, so I should go through fairly straightforward. Find the file on my desktop, click the open button, and now it's done. So now I have 4 accounts were successfully imported into Manage 360. If I go into my accounts page here, and as I search for the files, and that's the street name here that was imported, the rating, the default rating is used on there as well for that. So whatever the rating is, like I said, rating as well, default rating is used on there. If I open it up, all the information that was on the spreadsheet is now put into here as well for that. And again, like I said, right there, it's a residential account. HST is a sales tax. So I go into the billing information, HST, net 30, same billing information. All that is now done and saved. There you go. So again, like I said, that's how you can do it with using our account import utility. Number one, download the template file, run it through the import. It'll tell if there's errors, correct the errors. You can run it in there, run it through again as you need. And if you have any questions, like I said, we do have the manual in the knowledge base, but also you can contact our support line as well if you have any questions about this process. Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching this Manage 360 training video. View the next video to continue your training, and for any questions, visit our website at DynaScape.com.